Um, one sec. These Psycho Synner albums are not good. What is the point of deciding to take the challenge up to myself and listen to 9 albums from the once was being Psychosexual, from Jeremy Spencer's side project band, and now him and the company decide to totally rebrand themselves and decides to name himself this time as the Grim Sinner. I just don't understand why that this is a band that has a big pile of these records that makes me want to come back to these guys. What I was deciding to myself to, really maybe have some bit of the optimism, finding something new after the worst record that I had talked about on the Torch the Faith album, as I voted that album as the worst record of last year. And with these differences of music onto these records for being now Psycho Synner, I was actually very curious to dive in to myself of listening to all of these albums on YouTube just to see if there were some more magical spices of something as not an abomination like Torch the Faith was, but hopefully to think and wonder if there was anything new up to the snuff. But unfortunately, what I got on every single album from this band is just barely anything of an improvement and minimal expression of hearing so many of the same things that I have heard before. By the way, it is a Budweiser beer. Love this beer. And I decided to go into these albums just in any random order because I was looking through the different genres at rateyourmusic.com, like Unholy Hymns for the Children does contain some of the sounds of an industrial and alternative metal type of sound. The Devil Made You Do It, pretty much on a similar vein, although something on a bit of a heavier, grunty, and a meaner type of sound. Killing You Softly, however, is more on the acoustic, southern, balladry, bluesy type of style. Fuck in the Fire is more onto that alternative spectrum of metal. Dying to See You is, I guess, on that industrial with that type of the new metal rock kind of aesthetic. Bite the Snake is another one where they go into one of the other heavier sounding tracks. But I think that the biggest difference of originality in this discography over here is that As the Demons Dances Under the Blood Red Sky has some kind of a industrial rock, but with some more of the softer, experimental, gothic rock type of tinges. Do include tracks that were from Torch the Faith, and Jeremy decided to add these same tracks onto these 2 separate albums, and weirdly decides to change the lyrics. However, after listening to a lot, if not all, of these records, none of them are at all that much listenable. If I have to pick which one is the worst one out of this entire discography, you'll have to find that out for yourself when I'll be doing the list of the disappointments and worst albums of 21. That is because that it was so difficult to try and digest into what I was listening to. The originality, in quotations, on any of these albums have made me feel in different reactions. I was laughing my ass off on a lot of these same typical lyrical contents, and instrumentally there were parts that they really did try to have a bit of a hook, a bit of a beat, like onto the heavier albums, like on The Devil Made You Do It and Bite the Snake, etc. But with the production on so many of these records at the same time, they're just all over the place, especially with the production on Unholy Hymns for the Children and As the Demon Dances Under the Blood Red Sky, because these types of productions are either overproduced, undercooked, and so lackluster of something even worth of a damn big top-notch quality. And a lot of the instrumentation is just incredibly predictable, making me think that it was just so annoying and disconnected, and it's just going through the motions of actually making these listening experiences of these albums one of the most difficult aspects of listening to any discography. And you cannot forget that these vocals from Jeremy Spencer, with his own character of a vocalist of the Grim Sinner, it's totally not at all different. It's the same sound that you have heard before on Torch the Faith. And at the same time, as I was just going through and listening to these lyrics, the sound of the vocals on these albums, to me, are just sometimes robotic, fake, unnatural, and synthetic, to the point that the way these types of distorted vocal tones is, something to not really find a better range or tone whatsoever. There's just barely anything all that impressive whatsoever on any of these albums, because I wanted to try and dive into these records because of the numerous different genres that they decided to smash these things together into these separate identities of albums. But the way that these were written and produced and sounded, I would say it was not like an abomination, really disgusting piece of trash that Torch the Faith was, but these types of words I've just said have just been pretty much the same, repetitive and uninspired, forced, and so weak of any piece of music to really stand out on. In awe, still, that Psycho Synner is a thing right after the huge, despised reception of Psychosexual. And let's just say, I'm not all this surprised, because Psychosexual and now Psycho Synner have been a total meme. And, what else could I really do about listening to these albums with any more of a bigger chance after listening to Psychosexual? So this is just me basically saying to you that just don't even bother listening to Psycho Synner. But I will say that if there's going to be another bloated pile of multiple releases after 9 separate releases of this band, then I would just be like, no way, sir. So that's basically all I would like to say about this, and just don't expect anything better or different in the brightest form of expression. And guys at Psycho Synner, come on, you are not like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, where they've released multiple albums in different genres that they are so much better as a band themselves, of uniqueness and destructive, melodic, progressive, and a big fruition of stronger, more bolder, bigger material that is way more approachable than what Psycho Synner really is. That's all I would like to say about this, guys. So, had to do my so-called journey of diving into Psycho Synner's discography so that you really don't have to. That is my empty bottle of Budweiser right now. That's all I would like to say on that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.